I've got this profound impact that's happened in my life for a purpose. And I believe it's to, make sure people in the world know we have an eternal opportunity. And what we do here is not eternal, but it can be. And it's the things not of this realm and reality that I would love to see other people working towards. Like the things that love are being more patient, being more kind, loving others, giving in such abundance that we can just live in peace and harmony, and being aware of things going on in the world and actually doing things about it to make it a better place.
Welcome to another episode of The Rooted Founder. Today I am talking with the beautiful and amazing wife, mother, business builder, Jamie-Lee. She has 3 Keller Williams brokerages. And I think what I have learned so far about her and appreciate so far about her is her dreams. And her dreams to create and build and impact at even a greater level than just business, which is a lot of the people I like to connect with who feel like they have like a soul contract or a divine assignment or something of that nature. So we're going to dive into not just her origin story and her business journey, but who she is as a woman, as a leader, and what she's looking to achieve and impact in the world today. So Jamie, excited to have you.
Thank you for having me, Stacey. It's an honor to be speaking with you about these important life things.
Yes, important. So you've done a lot in your life so far, and you're not done, which I love.
Just getting started.
I'm curious to frame this conversation. What do you most want to be known for?
That's a really good starter question. I would say I always look at things from the perspective of when you are gone, what legacy are you leaving? What memories do people have of you? And I would like to be remembered as living a life of love, really. Love and passion in what I do, love and passion in the way I give, love and passion in the way I travel, and the way I treat my husband, and the way I love my family, and the way that I treat a random stranger. So that's what I'd love to leave behind, just that love is the way. And if we can have that a habit in our daily life, people will recognize that and recognize the joy and what shows up.
I love that. And I had a feeling you were going to answer it that way.
Okay.
So many of us as high achievers, we over-identify with all the doing and the activity and the pushing and the performance. And we neglect how we're being in that process and how we're showing up for our dinner tables or our boardrooms, our team members, the barista at the coffee shop. Like we neglect that. And so I love that you're so mindful of it every single day. How has that shifted your business at all?
I would say the mindfulness of how you treat others shows up, because it doesn't matter if you're a brand new agent or somebody on a team or someone that pumps out 700 deals a year and makes in excess of $2 million in your business. I'm willing and happy to spend the same amount of time and have the same conversation with you. To me, it doesn't matter who you are. Mm-hmm. And so I think that element of how I treat other people, regardless of the walk they're on, if I even said that right, that's how it impacts the business, because I'm genuine and authentic in that. And even though sometimes you might not feel like you have what it takes to sit down and have a business conversation with me, I love doing that. And I love having those types of conversations with anybody.
So let's talk about the business side of it. Now, you have 3 Keller Williams brokerages.
Correct.
And you've done a lot with them. And you have talk through a little bit of the numbers that you're comfortable with, because I think that it helps frame it a little bit. And then I'd love for you to share who you've had to become along that journey, because there was the version of you that started it and then the version of you today.
Yeah. So I can share the numbers. I recently was actually on stage, and Phil M. Jones was asking me questions about this. And so I'm not a high C. So for me to have all these numbers like written down, because I genuinely I don't live in that. I feel blessed and fortunate now to know, like, I don't live in scarcity. I like to live in abundance. And so I don't micro the little stuff because I don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I have them here actually from that conference that I sat on stage and got asked the hard questions by one of the best question askers there is. So between our three brokerages, we closed 3,764 units in all of 2024, sold over 2 billion in volume. We had a total revenue, and this doesn't include the gross commission income paid to our agents. This is just our brokerage revenue of 3.7 million. We paid out 49 million and a bit of change in GCI, which is gross commission income. And our net profit before the profit we shared was 1.1 million in 2024. We're a combined agent count of just over 420 and staff of just under 30. Mm-hmm. And range our service area from all the way east in Ontario, Prince Edward County, into Durham region, Oshawa, Ajax, Pickering, and then we go into the Toronto area, Scarborough, downtown Toronto, Beaches, Leslieville, and all the way north to Sudbury now. So I often joke, I'm going to have to get like a little mini plane or something when I want to go visit all these locations, just to save time and make it a more beautiful journey to see it all from above. So
I think this for you. I can't wait for you to have your pilot's license and be jumping between.
All of our amazing agents in our Barrie office have their pilot's license. And the guy who's really good friends with me, his name's Dylan Jarvis. He's like, let me know one day if you want me to come get you and fly you up to the Muskokas, because we have this group of golfers that go like almost every week in the summer, and he picks up these golfers, takes them up, and then he's like, I'm bored for like 4 hours, so we could do like a cool business planning with some top agents. So we're curating that. We're going to create some cool experiences.
That would be amazing. So those numbers are amazing. And would your 17-year-old self believe you would be where you're at?
Okay, that's a really interesting question, because I'm a visionary. And so when I grew up with a mom who was always like pushing me to do more, literally people will laugh and she'll probably giggle when she watches this, but like she woke me up in the morning, I practiced piano, I did Kumon, every hour had an agenda. Okay, so I was raised in a regime, and she genuinely wanted to provide so many different opportunities for us to explore who we are, who we could become. And along the way, she just constantly encouraged us. So, and then she'd talk about us in a positive way to her friends. And so she always said, like, Jamie-Lee's going to be like running a country or something like that. She had just had this vision. And so she'd say these things and I would laugh it off. So I never thought, okay, I'm going to run real estate brokerages, but I did have a passion for real estate. And the reason why, between the ages of 17 and 23, I ran these student painting companies. And there's a man named Chris Thompson who owns Student Works Painting in Ontario. And I signed a clipboard at my first year of university that was like, do you want to become an entrepreneur? And I was in this little room after with like 10 other people that signed the clipboard to find out more. And it was all about running your own painting business. So I went back after, I guess it was like Christmas time, after my first few months in university. I'm like, Mom and Dad, I'm going to run a painting business. And they're like, oh, here we go. I was like, I'm going to need your Jeep and I'm going to need to borrow like $1,000 to get started. And they were just like laughing. I'm like, I'm serious. And if I save enough, can I buy a house when I turn 18? And they were like, okay, let's like talk about this seriously. And so in my first year, I don't remember the total. I think it was like $90,000 in painting that I did in my 3.5-month summer break. So between Christmas when I turned 18, and the end of summer for university students is like tail end of August. Between May and August, me and two other people did like between $80,000 and $90,000 in painting projects, which is pretty hilarious. I'd throw a ladder up over my head and like throw it onto a roof. I'm answering this question in long form because when I was 17, I had a vision of buying my first house because I had a passion for real estate ingrained in me and what I saw my parents do. They ran a mega agent team for Remax for years. They were number one or number two in Canada. And I saw them buying investment properties. And I always had this like urge to do that myself because I learned from them. And so when I was 18, I bought my first house in walking distance to this campus in London, Ontario. And I rented it out. And then after the first year, I built another bedroom in the basement because someone else wanted to live so I could bring some more income in, passive income on this property. And so I put myself through university by running this business and also with investing, paid no rent, didn't have grocery bills because it all was paid for with the passive income I was earning on the house. And I didn't vision like I'm going to run these brokerages in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I got distracted on the journey and met the love of my life while running these painting businesses. But I always thought I'm going to be involved in some capacity in a business because I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I've landed for now.
Yeah, I love that journey. I also love how supportive your parents were of your drive in channeling that for you. That's such a blessing. I'm curious. So you're a mother of 4.
Yes.
What lessons are you taking from your parents' parenting of you with, you said, their regime? And then how you are integrating that into how you're raising your kids. And then what are some things maybe you're not bringing along or you are adding to help shape their minds and their lens on life?
So I think I've integrated some of it. I encourage my kids, and my oldest is 12, and then there's a big gap. My next is 8. Mm-hmm. So I've really started to do this with my 12-year-old. I want him to be fully in and passionate about whatever he does. I don't care what he decides as long as it's like ethical. And so from a young age, and this was honestly during COVID, my amazing husband developed, because there was nothing for the kids to do. Canada took COVID really seriously. And so he made a neighborhood baseball league. And I think my son was 7 or 6 at the time. And he made them jerseys and got their numbers knitted on. He had a trophy made for them. Oh. And they all played on this court, baseball. And it turned out our neighbor, I had no idea, did scouting for the MLB. And he was like, your son's arms are really long and he's insanely good at baseball. And so it was part my husband's passion for seeing our kids happy during a time where they were like locked inside all the time. And part this neighbor, and then encouragement to Jack, my oldest son, to try out. And now he plays for the CPBL, so that's the Canadian Premier Baseball League. He's turning 13 in July. It's the first year they've done it. And I think that supportive, encouraging side for sure comes from what I was nurtured with. Mm-hmm. And then my husband's side, he's European. They like to focus on one thing, not like a ton of different things, and, encourage kids to be independent. So we encourage Jack to be independent in the way that he does it. It's not as much coddling. It's a little bit more of a free-for-all in terms of kids going and exploring things. So I would say it's part the encouraging side from what my mom and dad did for me and being there to support it, and part my husband's be passionate side and pick something you love and focus on that. Your
husband sounds amazing and such a support to you, being very busy with the businesses, and I'm sure he has his own things, but for him to have that creative capacity to do that, and then also just the synchronicity of it all to materialize in your son doing something that's so unique that he didn't even know it was his one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, he is my husband and my son. They're both amazing. And I think now that Jack has this passion, I've only seen one other person, honestly, with such a like extreme vision and passion for something in sports. And one is my friend who's now a professional horseback rider, and she had that same like eagerness to succeed in something outside of just business. So I love seeing that in him, and I love seeing him thrive and take it so seriously.
Yeah. It's making me think, as visionaries, you're a visionary, we tend to struggle with focusing on one thing. Like, it's the joke that we have shiny penny syndrome. We chase two rabbits at once. We don't catch any of them. I'm curious how much of the European methodology of focusing on one thing that was brought into your household has impacted you or influenced you in any way as a visionary.
You mean like from my husband's side?
Or if it's not from him, has that kind of methodology infiltrated your thinking in any way?
Yeah, I mean, with Keller Williams, there's a book called The One Thing. So I read that. I think it's important. I really do. And with my husband, he's very consistent. Like it's a consistent effort, almost methodical in a pattern that's like, okay, dude, you've been wearing the same shoes for like 12 years. Let's go shopping and change it up. We have a funny story about that from when we met. But in all seriousness, having his simplicity focus has helped me. It didn't change me because I still like get excited about all these ideas, and he's more like pigeonholed. Okay, let's do this each day and let's only look at tomorrow when the day ends, right? So we're very different in that regard, but I've definitely inherited some of the appreciation and presence that the European culture brings. That I lived there for almost, I think, 6.5 years and got to really appreciate, and I love it. Like I'd go back tomorrow. If he raised his red flag and was like, babe, we gotta go, I'd be like, okay, let's leave. On to the next. So yeah, I don't think it changed me permanently, but it definitely gave me an appreciation for focus and simplicity and cultural traditions too.
You just said the word presence, which is a high value of mine. And I believe, like, going back to love, what you said at the beginning, I believe my purpose is presence. Presence around my dinner table, presence around my boardroom, presence with whoever I'm interacting with, because that is where bonds and connection and community and love form. And sometimes when we're running so fast, presence, we lose it.
Yeah.
How have you been able to navigate that as a wife, mother, business builder, all the things?
That's not an easy one for me because it's something I am genuinely still working on. I believe that you were connected to me for a reason, and it's because I've probably taken on too many things in certain areas. I mean, I believe that I have always been good at being present, having genuine conversations. But I think in today's fast-paced society, especially running businesses, having 4 kids, they're all always asking me something at once if I'm at home. It's hard to manage that, but you have to be mindful of it to be aware of the fact like, oh, wow, I'm having a conversation with my child and I'm on my phone, you know? So I think the first step is awareness of the fact that you're not present and should be, and then owning that and making changes for better habits and patterns in the future. And so by me knowing like I'm far away from perfect in that area and know I need to get better at it, it'll allow me to grow in an area that is so critical in today's society, when you can get carried away with clearing your email inbox while you're getting your kids out the door. Like it doesn't really work, because then you're kind of half in 2 zones. I think it's important to have people like you in my life and in other business owners' lives to bring awareness to that and make sure we're operating in presence and on purpose and out of love.
I do think you're doing better than you maybe are giving yourself credit for, because I've been on Zoom calls with you, and even with kids around, you're still present.
Okay.
And also you have team members that have been with you for a really, 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 really long time, and they want to do every business with you. So you have a way of being that sparks that in people. And so I think we can definitely, environment impacts us. So the European environment is more present than the American environment. And learning how to integrate it here in our society is more of a shift. Maybe Western, Eastern culture is probably how I should have said it, since you're in Canada.
So I want to just say something about that. So one of the biggest things, well, there were two. When I lived there, every time I got to the airport in Zurich, it'd be peaceful. Like, you land, everyone gets off the plane, it's quiet. When you land in the States or Canada, the first thing everyone does is opens their bag and takes their phone out, like as if they didn't have oxygen. And that was a major, like, it actually gave me the ick. Like, I recognized it the first time, I think, when I was coming back from, we launched our Barrie office just leading up to 2012. And I would fly back and forth, meeting agents, coming back, going to the States, doing the KW training. And I was like 7 months pregnant. I was like, okay, I can't get on a plane anymore. This is getting crazy, especially across the Atlantic. But I noticed like this almost race to get your phone out, because you can turn airplane mode off and all of a sudden be busy in it. That doesn't happen when you land in Europe or in Zurich. Like, people are just more present with what they're doing. Even just the fact that they landed safely and now they get to get up and get their bag out and they're not working. The other major thing I noticed was the priority in the conversation and the actions in the not the actions in the activity, the actions in actually planning your life, doing things in Switzerland specifically, were very much about, what are you doing this weekend? Where's your next trip planned? And it's very accepted that there you have a minimum of 5 to 6 weeks unplugged. Like, no one calls you. The jobs are even created and they scale them. It's like, okay, I have a 70% work. That's what they say. Not in proper English, obviously, but it means basically they work 70% of the 40-hour work week, which gives them more time with their family. And those jobs really respect that off time. And it's like weird if you're not going away with your family to somewhere outside of Switzerland for at least 5-6 weeks of the year. Like, it's actually odd. And it doesn't matter if you work at the grocery store, if you're a teacher, or if you own like a large conglomerate business. That's just the normal way and the cultural way of living. And people don't go, where do you work? Or what do you do when you meet them? I don't think I've ever had a conversation where anyone asked me what I did or where I worked. It was all just real conversations about where you're traveling, what you like to eat, what your favorite wine is. I mean, it's just so different. So,
wow. I have done some travel in Europe, and I'm trying to think back to, I didn't live there, so I don't know if I recognized it as much as you're explaining it now. But a chapter in my book is called The Mistress is the Screen. And my significant other walked in on me and said, you get everything you need from the screen. Like, when you're scaling your businesses and you're working, and it's like you're hanging from the tabs in your brain. And I think we don't, maybe in our environment, we don't recognize how addicted we are to the screen.
Yeah.
And I appreciate so much. Like, I have no screen time, no screen days. And you're allowed to like have your soul back in your body, instead of being a zombie with a program running with all of these to-dos and all of these conversations you need to have and all of these open loops that you aren't present. You're inspiring me to do this even more, hearing you talk about it. I'm like, I need to go to Switzerland.
Yeah, I would literally put my baby in this ergo and like hike with my girlfriend for 7 hours up and down mountains. And that would be, and I don't like, other than taking a photo, which we had old Sony cameras, because I don't even think the iPhones had good quality cameras.
Yeah.
That's just what we would do. And I honestly don't remember, like, since coming back here, really present moments like that. Like, I do going up to the cottage and stuff, but you're still kind of having your phone hang out with you.
Right.
And so even just having this conversation, it's like, okay, I have to remove that and make sure that there's time for that, even though I'm not in Switzerland anymore.
Yeah. I know you're coming to Austin and I'm leaving for Alaska, so I'm going to miss you, but I'm like, we could go hike together because that's what I love doing. I go on 3-4 hour long hikes.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. Another time. I come to Austin a lot.
Yes. I want to read something that was on your Instagram.
Okay.
And have a conversation around it because I think we have shared values on this. So it's a quote from Mark Batterson, who wrote Chase the Lion.
Yeah.
And it says, in every dream journey, there comes a moment when you have to quit living as if the purpose of life is to arrive safely at death. You have to go after a dream that is destined to fail without divine intervention.
I love that quote.
What does it mean for you?
What does it mean for me? So, I'll short form say what it means for me. It means there are certain things where you need the grace and power of God, who is love, to achieve them, because they're impossible dreams and you need another power greater than your own to make it happen. That's the short form answer.
And the long?
The reason I now feel that way is the long answer, and that is the story of why I believe that. So I don't know if it's good to go into that right now or when it makes sense, but
I feel like if we could maybe take some bullet points from that here would be amazing, because I know you and I have talked a little bit about this, but it's a lens shift, maybe. Let's call it that. It's an awakening that totally shifts your perception of reality and what matters. And it invites you to dream bigger, but dream about building something that is maybe in a different realm.
Yes.
And so I'm curious, when you had that awakening, maybe briefly touch on it, and then how it has shifted you and what your now new dream is that requires divine intervention.
Okay. So when I was growing up, my mom always told me the most important decision you're ever going to make in your life is who you marry. And that's rooted in love, right? Who you decide to love, who you give your heart to, that's your number one thing. Everything else is sort of dismal, because that's going to be with you and be your life. So when I met my husband by absolute random chance in Beijing in 2008 at the Olympics, I didn't know, obviously, that I would beat this tall, blonde Swiss man there, but I did. And I am still blown away at what happened. So we met, we had our great time. We decided after the Olympics it would never work. We tossed our phones. We ended up reconnecting. We messaged each other. And then I traveled through Europe and he came to visit me in every place. I had sent him tickets to meet me at a concert that I was going to, and he ended up meeting me there after like 3 months of us not seeing each other in Beijing. And then I traveled Europe, and I traveled and backpacked with my friend between, I think it was October and just before Christmas, went to every major city, and he would come and visit me. And I was like, okay, this is like just one of those cute love stories, right? Seeing Europe, we're falling in love. And then at the end of that, I ended up going back to Canada. I had still my student works painting thing that I was doing, and it ended up stopping because my heart was like in two places. And I decided to sell my house in London and move to Switzerland to do my MBA. So that was great. We got married. Shortly after that, he proposed, we got married, had our first child. I lived this amazing first year as a mom and like just totally nurtured my husband and my baby. And it was just, I'd never taken that time of presence for myself, honestly. It was just this beautiful time where I was enjoying being a new mom in this beautiful country with a husband that was taking care of me. I had no worries in the world. And then we decided to move back to Canada because it was just an agreement we made that we could sort of see our vision and what we wanted to do in our lives there. And there was just a better opportunity to do that. So we moved back, and I want to say my second child was born. I had an amazing first year in real estate. I had launched this real estate brokerage in Barrie, Ontario. Things were going great. And then all of a sudden, we were up at the cottage, and my 3-month-old, my mom, my 4.5-year-old at the time all got bit on the neck by something, got deathly ill. And I won't talk about all the series of events, but it was extremely scary. We went to some of the best doctors in the world for neurology. We saw Dr. Latimer in Washington. We saw blood doctors to rule out blood cancers. My son couldn't eat. He'd be coughing up blood. It was just like a nightmare, a mother's nightmare. And I started to get really sick and really skinny because of the path we were going on. It was like my 4.5-year-old was swallowing 40 pills twice a day to like try and keep him going. He was so skinny. We went to the Institute for Parasitology in Switzerland. We saw homeopathic doctors, Dr. Simon Yu in Missouri. He was absolutely exceptional. He like kept my kids alive, basically. And at the end of it, we were told it was a megavirus in the blood that was causing autoimmune dysfunction. It genetically runs in our family. And all of my kids' organs and brain functionality were shutting down. My son forgot to swallow. He started writing backwards. And basically what the neurologist said, they need IVIG right away. And then they're probably going to need it for the next 10 years until they hit puberty in hopes that this turns off. And at the end of it, I was just, first of all, out of money. We'd spent every savings dime we had. My husband sold his stocks in Switzerland. We basically emptied our accounts to be able to try and figure out what was going on with our children. And my mom at the time had had a stroke, and we think it might all be kind of connected, like whatever this was caused just total dysfunction. And at the end, when I told her I'm taking the boys back to do IVIG, she's like, I think Jamie, you should take her to the church take the boys to the church from when you were a little girl. And I was like, she lost her mind. I remember saying, like, what is a pastor of a church going to do for me right now? Like, really? 3 more days went by. Jack got very sick. Like, he couldn't walk upstairs. He was getting bruises on his lower back. Like, it was just really bad. And I remember crying, and I picked up my phone and I called this pastor, and he was like, come get the kids anointed in oil. And I'll never forget, it was Mother's Day, 2018. I'd just gone through the worst year of my life, literally making notes in a journal. Like, if I don't make it and the kids don't make it, like writing my husband notes about what to do. And we go to the front of this church, and there's all these people from the church. There's a prelude story to it, but I won't get into it. They stood around us, put their hands on my kids, started praying. Someone was speaking in tongues, and my kids were healed. Like, no IVIG, no more medication, like the full-blown miracle of God, which I felt this power of love literally come over me. I was so skinny. I think I weighed like 97 pounds. And I am not a small frame person. Like, I was really not well. I couldn't nurse my then almost 1-year-old, and I was getting donations from sick kids, other moms who gave their milk so that he could actually have some nourishment because he couldn't drink formula. And all of my milk came back. I rapidly gained weight, and so did my kids. And then within a few weeks, I took them off all medication. And my lesson from that was like, I should have been like that woman that touched the cloak and knew she was healed. Like, if I could teach someone that would be my lesson. Like, just have faith, because I knew, but I was like hesitating. And the craziest part of this, and I don't talk to people a lot about this, but now here it will be recorded. God showed up in such a big way, like the way he was speaking to me, talking to me, putting feelings in my heart. It was next level. Like, he's real. And it's this power of love. And even though I was on this journey, he saw my heart and showed up, and I got this big Mother's Day gift. And I have now 4 beautiful children. My 2 that were very sick are both thriving. And it's just like, thank you for the miracle. And now, because I know of this, I've got this profound impact that's happened in my life for a purpose. And I believe it's to, make sure people in the world know we have an eternal opportunity. And what we do here is not eternal, but it can be. And it's the things not of this realm and reality that I would love to see other people working towards, like the things that love are: being more patient, being more kind, loving others, giving in such abundance that we can just live in peace and harmony, and being aware of things going on in the world and actually doing things about it to make it a better place. And so I feel that's the mission I'm on, is to make sure people are aware that God is love and he loves them. And if he can turn my life around, he can do it for others too.
Thank you so much for dissecting all of that and sharing all of that, because there's a lot of moments, and I have a similar story to you in my own awakening and my encounters and my like, oh, this is real. And it usually comes by way of need, like being in a financial crisis or a health crisis or a relationship crisis. And that is the opportunity for God to show up and be a comforter and a healer and a provider and a protector in a way that we can't do.
Yeah.
And it really shows the sovereignty and the gift of grace.
Yes.
And when that gets activated, I feel like that's when you want to share it with everybody. Like, you can turn your whole life around. You can be free and still build amazing things and still climb mountains and have achievements and speak on stages and build zeros in your bank account or 0 more followers on social media. You can still do all of those things, but your come from is so different. Yes. I'm not doing it for significance, approval, or validation. I'm doing it for contribution. I'm doing it for love. I'm doing it because I care.
Yes. Yeah. It changes the perspective on why.
I feel like your whole story, there's another quote that you had on your Instagram, and it was, "Justice at its best is correcting everything that stands against love."
Yes. This is a profound quote. And I feel, and I hesitate because I'm like, what do I even, like, how do I even say that? I'm just going to say it. On the walk of my kids being so sick, I'm like, God, like, why? Like, what was it about that journey that was so profound? And when I dissect and go into those appointments, there were only a few doctors willing to be real about some of the things that are now being brought out as truth. Like, why would my child's bank stem cells and cord blood not be accessible to me? That's like my own, like, why would doctors not treat with things like ivermectin, praziquantals? Like, why? If those are life-saving remedies, why take them off the shelves when, in fact, those can be the things that help to treat people who are really sick? I met with doctors who were helping children reverse full-blown autism, like get them out of wheelchairs and walking, who were diagnosed with Lyme disease, and curing these children. I wish I could remember his name. He's recently passed. He was like 103 or something, and he was one of the best pediatric LLMDs in Connecticut. And we got to meet him before he passed, and he met with me, and he shared some serious stories, like big medical schools trying to lock him down and not treat these seriously sick kids. And he risked his medical license to do it because he was doing what that quote says.
Yeah.
And he was blessed with a long life, and he's probably enjoying the eternal life now. Yeah. There's people that seek to show love and do what's right, regardless of what the consequences might be. And that is what that quote means. And I think it's important to show the light and the truth behind the darkness.
I feel like those two quotes combined is our invitation of co-creation, because also there's a sacred text that says justice is mine, says the Lord. Yeah. And it's justice at its best is correcting everything that stands against love. And our essence, love, in your bodies going through those cycles was out of that. And the justice came through in divine sovereignty and healed, and through resources like the doctors and all of those things. And so those two together then allow us to co-create. I like to say God is the visionary and I'm the integrator.
Yes.
I don't really have an original thought. I'm just blessed with having a vessel that gets downloads, and I'm like, oh, that's a wonderful thing. I'll go implement it.
Yes.
And it seems like you're living in that same container, which is beautiful.
Yeah, it's like faith plus action. You can't just have faith. You have to actually take action. And like you get a download or a spiritual download, and it's like, okay, I now have to do that and have faith. And that's where the part of like, this is not even of me or for me. This is like a greater force.
Yes.
People ask me all the time, like, how do you have 4 kids and run 3 brokerages? I'm like, the grace of God. They look at me like 2 heads. It's the only answer I have.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know how I sometimes sleep for 3 hours, wake up, work out, eat breakfast, get 4 kids out the door. You know, like, there's no answer for that. It's insanity. It's crazy. And right now I'm driving like 4 hours a day to and from the different locations as I replace certain leadership positions. So that's the only answer.
I totally agree. I was on my walk and talk this morning with Jennifer, who I know you're going to come meet here in Austin. And she asked me the same question. She was like, how did that happen? How did you decide to do that? And I go, I don't know that I did. I think it was the grace of God.
On your journey with scaling and like being able to spend time when you needed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of grace, gratitude, and grit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we're wrapping up, I love the nuance and everything that you shared, because I think sometimes when people are looking at successful entrepreneurs, they see the highlight reels.
Yeah.
And I like to show the real reels of what it really is like and where we go to for strength. Mm-hmm. My grandfather built a company to take public, and he's an atheist. And he tells me the most important thing was trust and faith. And I'm like, what did you have faith in? And he's like, you just have to have faith. And so whether or not people who are listening to this are believers like us, and my walk has been fragmented, we're new believers, if you will, and you can still lean into faith. And what you're seeking is seeking you, and it will meet you. Mm-hmm. And I hope that this story, and I appreciate you sharing it, shows that you can go on a journey, feel like maybe you're off path, and really you're on path for the divine assignment, the divine encounter that's going to turn the lights on for your calling and your next crusade. And so I just really, really appreciate you for the vulnerability.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for giving me a space to share.
Yes. So as we're wrapping up, what does success mean to you?
Okay, that's a question that success is overall of like an image of what you hope your life will be to you. Each person's success comes in different ways. For me, it means my family's healthy, thriving, and happy. I have a really amazing relationship with my husband. I am able to, at a moment's notice, help someone if they're in need, because I love to live in that mindset of abundance, and we're given the ability to manage here on earth what God has given us, but we're here to manage that. So the ability to then redirect funds or help people when they need it, or sponsor a child in something that they wouldn't be able to do, that is success to me. It's not like I want to go and buy a ton of cars and stack them in my garage because I love them. For me, that's not success. It's more that through this life and this walk, I can enjoy all of the things of life because I've built a life of freedom and I've built a life on faith, and I just get to enjoy the walk and give and be in abundance. I don't know. It's like the biblical statement, be fruitful and multiply, right? We're going to be in this walk. We're not in eternity yet. Mm-hmm. And we're meant to enjoy our life in abundance while we're here.
Mm-hmm. I love that. The word that's coming to mind for me, for you, is stewardship.
Yeah.
Stewardship of your time, money, relationships, resources, and deploying them where God is guiding you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. If folks want to connect with you, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Jamie-Lee Bongard, or I am just about to launch and release my own podcast, Real Stories JLB, on Instagram or YouTube, and you can download on Apple and Spotify as well. And if you're looking to buy or sell a house in Ontario, we have Keller Williams Energy, Keller Williams Advantage, and Keller Williams Experience. And those are our brokerages.
Amazing. We'll put all of that in the show notes too, so everyone can access it. I appreciate you so much, and I just want to honor you for your journey as a woman, as a mother, as a leader. And I'm excited to be a running mate with you in this next season of your life and the impact you're going to make. So I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for all your time, Stacey, and I will see you soon.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share, and leave us a review. It helps us spread the word. We appreciate you. And until next time, cheers.